Welcome to the show. We've got a very exciting lineup planned for you today. I'm joined by Trip, the lead analyst of Capital Mindset. We're going to go over what we discussed on previous shows, what's happening in the market now, and why now is the very time not to panic, but actually to position yourself for what could be one of the biggest moves of this cycle. And who knows, maybe the beginning of a super cycle. In previous videos in my YouTube, I went over Kathy Wood's ARK Invest Big Ideas, where we explored the idea that this could be the greatest wealth generation event in history due to all these powerful technologies converging, like AI, blockchain, and so many other technologies that could make our GDP grow exponentially, as well as the stock market. She said in the report we could go from 12 trillion to 140 trillion in just 5 years. So now we're going to pair those ideas with some of the charts that Trip has been looking at and see where we're headed next for Bitcoin. And I think contrary to belief right now in the market, as we're in extreme fear that we haven't seen since possibly the last Terra Luna crash in the bear market, it's precisely not the time to panic, perhaps, but actually to position ourselves. And Trip is going to jump on and help us do that, help us zoom out, see the higher timeframes, understand what to expect, what's next for Bitcoin and altcoins. And it's going to surprise you. So stay tuned for the whole video. You're going to absolutely love it. Trip, welcome back.
Hey there, Megan. Thank you.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you on. I know a lot of people are really wanting to know what's happening next. Nerves are running high, people are on edge, and these videos really help people put things into perspective. So I think we're going to really have some exciting content to show them today.
Yeah, I agree. There's some other ideas that aren't really generally well known. So I do a lot of analysis based on time. So I use like time fibs is what they are. So these can be like cycles. They can be on Fibonacci numbers themselves, but it kind of gives you a better idea on when to expect. It answers the when to the equation. So we're going to go over some of those today. Okay, so this is Bitcoin one day on the log scale chart. So we've been watching this pullback and looking for support, and we're currently testing the 1-day 200 MA. Now, what I've been doing is focusing on a lot of the time measurements. Now, you don't see this too often. I use time fibs, so you'll get Fibonacci lines that are vertical on the chart, and they may or may not give you a better idea of when to expect something. So on their own, they're a pretty interesting tool, but what I like to do is combine them with horizontal fibs. So the key here is that when you see a horizontal fib coming in contact with a vertical fib, usually this can be a very important place, like an inflection point on the charts. So what we're looking at here is the 1 day on the log scale, and this was posted yesterday. We got this pullback, and we were currently testing at the moment the 1 day 200 MA. And if you look carefully, we're exactly at the blue lines where they intersect. So the vertical line is the 0.272. I know this is a little hard to see. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit.
Right.
Here's the 0.272, that's the vertical. And then this horizontal over here is the 1.272. So the key here is that where these two lines intersect, highlighted by this little blue dot, is where we're looking for something to happen, some kind of a reaction. So now that we've got the 1 day 200 MA in the exact same area, this is now becoming a very important focus for the next move for Bitcoin. So this was again posted yesterday. Now we're going to fast forward to what the chart looks like today. So after that 24-hour period, we can already see that we're starting to get this bounce exactly in this area. So this is a really important idea as far as my technical goes, or my technical analysis goes. Once I see that we're getting this kind of a reaction where the 272 fibs have lined up and at the 1 day 200 MA, this is kind of a big signal for me. Typically, what you're looking for here is either a trend reversal or a major trend continuation. So we're looking for either a bounce here or a push to the downside. Now, over the past few hours, we're starting to get this huge wick on the daily. I'm going to zoom into this just a little bit.
Yeah, if you zoom in, you can see that wick really clearly. I mean, it's massive.
Right. Yeah. This is all the way down to about 78,000 is where this wick down to at the time.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's looking pretty powerful.
Right. Yeah. So it's an inflection point, as I was saying. So this will be an important place on the chart to see the next move from Bitcoin. If this wick is doing what we all think it's doing, this is showing a lot of buy pressure. So the whales were allowed to push the price lower. This was probably just a big liquidity hunt, scooping up all those stop losses and grabbing that Bitcoin that was sold down there. And now the price is starting to see that reversal.
Right. And I know you and I discussed before, but it's not very common in bull markets for Bitcoin to go down and test its previous resistance within that same bull market, right?
Right. Yeah, we have a couple of charts just like that. So if we go back to 2020, after this breakout occurred, you really didn't get a retest at all. Like we had one red wick come back down. It really didn't hit the whole support level, though. It's more like a zone that you've created. I like to call it an air gap. So this is the 2020. No retest of support in 2020. And
Right.
we'll fast forward, or sorry, this is going backwards. This is the 2017 retest or breakout. And the same thing, after it broke out of here, you didn't get that pullback to fill this retest.
Right.
So then we'll fast forward to where we are now in 2025, and we're starting to see the same thing. You had this breakout, and it's coming back down to retest. But again, we're seeing this gap, this air gap, where it didn't come all the way back down to test the support level.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting time because a lot of people are calling for, 75,000 and even 70,000. And it just seems when everybody's having the same sentiment as well, it's sometimes, like we always say, Bitcoin likes to do things that surprise people. And what are you thinking about it potentially being a bottom here?
Yeah, very good odds. I mean, we've been watching the RSI on Bitcoin. So this is, you probably can't see all of these time frames so clearly, but this is the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, and the daily. So this is just monitoring the RSI. And we're seeing that all these divergences are starting to pop up. So on the 4 hour, you got four. This four over here represents different oscillators or indicators that are showing this divergence. So on the 4 hour, you got four of them. On the 3 hour, there's one. On the 2 hour, there's one. So another one on the 1 hour. And then you got these extreme oversold conditions still on the higher time frames. I mean, the daily came all the way down to, almost 23, 24. So
Wow.
these are extreme oversold levels, and everything else hit oversold already. And now the lower time frames, they're starting to creep back up and leaving those oversold conditions. So as
Right.
far as looking for a bottom, if it was any other day of the week or any other time of the year, I would say the same thing, that a bottom is probably either in or very close. The only other thing I might be expecting is if the one day comes back down again for another test, if it happens to push lower than this wick does,
Hmm.
and this RSI doesn't go any lower, then you're going to get a bullish divergence on the daily chart. And that would probably be the icing on the cake for me to say that this is actually a confirming a bottom.
Right. Wow. So that's pretty powerful because based on what Bitcoin's about to do, we can kind of come up with a thesis for the rest of the market. And the altcoins have held up fairly well throughout this Bitcoin correction.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I posted a couple of charts. They were setups for altcoins, and it was strange because the altcoin setups that were posted didn't go any lower than their support, and Bitcoin just kept coming lower and
Right.
lower and lower. But for some reason, the altcoins didn't seem to care as much as usual. It's a very strange event.
Yeah. Where previously, if Bitcoin took even a slight spill, the altcoins were just massively, being hit. So it's definitely something is changing in the market right now.
Definitely. The fact that the altcoins are holding so well. I mean, if you look at the total three chart on this 3 day chart, this is something that we posted in one of our previous videos. We had talked about if we come back, or sorry, if we get rejected at this resistance, we're looking for a retest of this key support level. And that's exactly where we are now. I'm
Right.
surprised that it didn't push any lower. I was expecting maybe a touch of the lower trend line here just to see if it would retest this area. But
Yeah.
again, we're starting to get these wicks, and the support is holding so far.
Very interesting. And 1.13 trillion, that's been the level to break since we started this part of the cycle. So once we break that and hold that, it's off to the races as well. But in between, we could get that very amazing range bound trade from the support levels we're at now.
Yeah, and that's where the trading comes in hand, or comes in handy, I should say. So if you're
Mhm.
an investor, you probably wouldn't care so much about trading these moves in between. But if you're a trader, you can take advantage of the move from the bottom to the top. Maybe you get another shorting opportunity all the way back down, and then you
Mhm.
can long it again all the way back up. So you could get three trades just in this range, potentially
Right.
more if it keeps continuing to range in this pattern.
Right. And I know in the group you're posting setups constantly, and I haven't seen anybody posting any of the stuff that you've been posting with the fibs and, the different levels that you're looking at and the way that you're charting it out. It really puts things into perspective. And then when you pair that with all the bullish or bearish divergence, in this case, bullish divergence, you've been able to enter some powerful trades and also alert the group, which has been phenomenal.
Right. Yeah. So like divergences are one of our key trading strategies. It's not even just divergences. It's when you see confluence across a bunch of different time frames and you get
Right.
those oversold conditions plus the divergences. I mean, those are really strong signals that have a high potential for playing out. So
Right.
this was posted this is a Bitcoin 1 week chart. Let's see, I think I posted this in January sometime, maybe even the end of December. So we saw this bearish divergence, and it same thing works conversely or inversely, I should say.
Mhm.
When you're looking for a long position, you look for oversold conditions with bullish divergence. So in this scenario, on this weekly chart, you have the opposite effect. So you have overbought conditions on the RSI on this peak, but this is a lower high on this move. So you have overbought with bearish divergence. So we kind of expected that there was going to be maybe a smaller move up and then a pullback at this point. So if
Right.
we zoom ahead and see where we are, this is
Wow.
exactly what
Spot
happened. I
on.
mean, it's spot on so far. Maybe not, yeah, maybe not as deep as we thought it was going to go just by this, freehand drawing with this red line,
Right.
but it's giving us an idea of like, hey, maybe consider taking some profits, get ready for the next bounce or the next pullback.
Mm-hmm. Now, very interesting. And it looks like that's largely played out now, and that we could be on the verge of the next explosive move. And I know you referenced that it could be either to the upside or to the downside. So maybe we can look at a few other indicators as to where we might be headed. But all conditions point to we are very close to a bottom price wise and time wise.
Right. Yeah. We're just going to zoom ahead here. This is the Bitcoin 1 month chart. So again, macro picture, zoom way out. All we're really watching here is this one candle as it fluctuates up and down. So today is going to be the monthly close for Bitcoin. Potentially, it's been changing. If you look back in the past, just over the past year, we had a green month, green month, red month, and it kind of just kept doing this over and over. So if we get the same idea happening here, you've got a green month, red month for February. March could be a green month for crypto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, like we haven't really moved a lot, right? It's just this one candle that's been fluctuating for February, and this is
Right.
what everyone's been panicking about. But if you zoom out, nothing
Looks
has
like a blip on the
changed.
radar. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like nothing.
Right. So 9 bars left would mean about 9 months left. So this is just estimating that we're going to continue on this time frame compared to the previous halving cycles. So after the first halving, with this green uptrend, that was about 35 bars or 35 months. And then the same thing happened here from the 2019 to 2021 rally. It was 35 months of uptrend before the pullback. And again, we're at the exact same position. So you had this beginning of the uptrend, and we're only about maybe 3/4 of the way through, and there's still about 9 months left to go, just based on this idea.
Right. Yeah. And that would put us right into like, where we had been discussing earlier, the Q4, potentially November into December, end of year. So yeah, it seems to be fitting all of the previous things we've been discussing.
Right. The only thing that would be different is if that super cycle occurs, I don't know if this red section is going to be the same as what we've seen previously.
Right.
There's potential where we start going parabolic here, and this doesn't happen. This could be a delayed effect that happens further down the road, and that could be years. It might
Yeah.
not be as instant as within this cycle.
Oh, absolutely. I believe it's possible, especially after that, the ARK Invest report, big ideas that I was speaking about, that was talking about how equities were going to perform. And that most definitely is going to spill into crypto and all of these new technologies converging. I don't think that it may not be exactly the same as we've seen it previously because we have that huge shift, which I think we have a chart for as well about how technology is going to impact, these next few years.
Right. Yeah, we're going to go into those in a second. I just want to give
Mhm.
everyone a quick, just a quick picture again of what's possible for a target. Everyone's always asking, what's the target for this bull run?
Right.
So this chart might not give you the exact number, but really we're just measuring these resistance ranges or these ranges that Bitcoin's been moving in since this goes back as far as 2013. So from this low to this high was a 666.6% move. So if we just measure double that move, Bitcoin at least went to the next resistance. So from 0 to the 1 to the 2, and then from October in 2020, we went again up to the next one. So 1, 2, 3. And now we're over here retesting the third. I don't think it's a big deal that we go up to the 4.0 next.
Right. Yeah. And what's the price point of that 4.0?
4.0 is at 559,000.
And that sounds impossible for people listening, but I did a presentation yesterday and I spoke about the fact that like any announcement by Trump, if he announces the Bitcoin strategic reserve, GameStop comes out, puts their $4 billion cash balance into Bitcoin. I mean, there are a lot of things that could propel that movement into existence, apart from the fact that the charts are pointing out that it's possible. So it's highly possible that that could happen, and it's hard for people to comprehend.
Yeah, it's very different this time around. So the other chart that we have here, which is a fascinating chart. I love this chart. It seems very simple, but it gives you so much information. So this stuff down here might be hard to read. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this. So political revolution cycles, those are 250 years. These are these blue waves that are occurring on the chart here.
Right.
And then the financial revolution cycles, these are 80 years apart. These are the yellow or orange waves that you see in between. And then the technological revolution cycles are every 50 years. So that's these red waves on the bottom.
Right.
So the American Revolution happened in 1765 to 1783, and that's when everything started changing, everything at once. So you had the blue wave converging, you had the yellow waves converging, you had the red waves converging into a trough, and after this, boom, that's when really it's society exploded at this point. So now we're back in the same position. We haven't seen something like this back in this trough since the American Revolution.
Wow,
so
that's
if anybody's
huge.
It's a big deal, in my opinion, right? I don't think people are ready for this. I don't think they can see this far. I don't think they can comprehend what it really means. But this could be the decentralized revolution that crypto has been waiting for since its existence.
I mean, this is massive. And just looking at these charts and pairing it with so many other factors. So the convergence of those three technologies, there's telephone, electric, and internal combustion. Those three alone caused this massive spike in GDP. We went from 0.6 to 3% growth over 125 years. And now we're coming on to the next point in time where that's going to happen. And they are way more powerful technologies. AI is just increasing at rates we could never have imagined. And just imagine what that can do to the equities market, like I said in the beginning of the show, and what that could do to crypto, right? I mean, it's unfathomable for the human mind to comprehend that kind of parabolic growth.
It's pretty intense. I mean, if you start looking at all these cycles and you start lining them up with the different families that became rich during these cycles, one of the first ones was the Rockefeller, and then the Vanderbilts, Carnegie's, JP Morgan, and then the automobile, and you got Jeff Bezos here at the end for the internet revolution. So these are major events in history that have all happened, right? So the fact that we're right on the cusp of one of these next arising emergences or growths of technology is a pretty exciting time. You got AI, you got quantum computing, you have blockchain all coming together. It's something that we haven't seen, and we can't really comprehend what it's going to mean in the future yet. I think it's too soon to really see it.
And it's going to equal, and we got robotics, which is a huge one. So that's going to equal insane productivity, which will increase wages and lowers inflation just by design because of the productivity increase. So there's so many factors going into this new decentralized revolution age.
Right. Yeah. There's just a lot of growth. So I think right now is probably the most important time to start paying attention. If you don't know anything about technical analysis or you've never seen a chart before, now might be the time where you want to start taking a peek and setting yourself up for the future.
Oh, absolutely. Now is the time to set yourself free, to get those tools, to be able to do so. And there's no better group. And I'm saying this as having been in this group for 3 years now and paying attention to these charts and what Trip has been doing. It's truly life-changing if you educate yourself and you're able to apply these tools. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the winners, because while everybody was worried about the market just tanking and going down forever, Capital Mindset was posting charts of the best setups that actually had quite big moves during this time.
Yeah, it was very strange. So as we talked about at the beginning of the video, there were some altcoins that were just amazing performers, and we happened to catch one of them really early. So this was Pippin. This was our max target or our max performance move so far at 71%. So over here, we had a green bar at the bottom, and this was our support entry. I'll show you what the original setup looked like here. So Pippin, USDT 1 hour, support entry. Please manage your risk with a stop loss. Very important, right? We didn't know what Bitcoin was going to do at the time. But amazingly, from this setup on this support, Pippin held very well. It didn't go anywhere. He had a couple pokes below support here, but nothing much, nothing too major, not
Right.
enough to stop you out of the trade. So if you
Right.
were still in this trade, you would have capitalized on that 71% move.
Wow, that's huge. That's huge. And we were talking about compounding just before the show, and we got. I can't stress it enough how powerful it is. If you continue to roll those trades over, even if you the 50% is just phenomenal, and you're able to do that and replicate that thing, your capital grows very quickly.
Yeah, 50% move when Bitcoin's looking scary is it's a gift. That's you don't find it very often. Take advantage of it. Take your profits out and then just wait for the next trade. So we were
Right.
very fortunate. This Pippin setup that we had, as it started popping off, I took a look to see what the performers were like on Binance, and
Right.
it kind of blew my mind. Pippin was the number one
Top
performer at the
performer,
time. Yeah,
nailing it in capital mindset. That's what I'm saying.
23% for the day. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So that's also the beauty, even if you are a good trader or an avid trader, just having this luxury of you posting and our team posting the best setups ready to pop is, it makes life way easier. And you're able to nail those setups more often than not, right? That rather than going through all the charts yourself, trying to pick out the ones that could be the next movers.
Right. Yeah. It can be very tricky, right? So, let alone trying to find one setup that plays out,
Yeah.
it's quite amazing to find one of the top performers in the market
Right.
during all this chaos. Another one that's been really performing very well is AI16Z. So we had another setup for this. We posted this actually in one of our older videos. We were looking for the golden cross on the 4-hour chart. And at the same time, we said, if we get a pullback down to this support, now we've come all the way back down to this support. And this is where I started adding to my position. So
Right.
initially over here, I took profits on the way up. I think my max profit taking was around this area. Might have been on this next candle. Don't really remember. But
Right.
the goal really was just to take your profits now and then wait to see what happens. And
Right.
that's the hardest part in trading is taking your profits out and then sitting on the sidelines. Everybody
Yeah.
feels like they need to be in a trade all the time, but really the most money you're going to make is jumping from one trade to the next and sitting on the sidelines in between.
Being very patient,
Yeah,
essentially.
wait till your setups are, well structured. Make sure you have strong support. Really, you just want to see how much confluence or how much that trade can be in your favor. You don't want to be in a trade that's a 50-50 gamble, right?
No,
So you're looking for
absolutely.
something that has usually more upside than downside potential. So you're looking for trades that have 20% move to the upside, but you're risking a 5% loss. And really, that's what it's all about: is compounding your gains, like we talked about, but
Mhm.
also making sure you manage your risks so you're not giving back your profits once you've made them. So you're
Right.
taking high potential, low risk trades as often as
Absolutely.
possible.
Yeah, and that then the compounding becomes real. It happens fairly quickly if you get the hang of it and you're able to capitalize and hone your skills in and really focus and be patient, like Trip has said, not over trading. So this is looking like a really good setup now.
Yeah, now we're back down. We've already bounced off of this bottom. So we're looking for a break above this resistance level next as our next opportunity. The last post that we had posted was to buy the break of this yellow trend line. So now we've broken that trend line, had a bit of a bounce, and now we're right at this resistance level. So if you're watching this, you can set an alert on this level so you don't miss this trade, or just keep an eye on it for the rest of the day. I think there's a high chance that if Bitcoin keeps moving up, we could see a breakout for one AI16Z probably within the next 24 to 48 hours.
So if Bitcoin keeps moving up, where do you think is the level where we get this bounce or this next big wave? What is the level to watch here?
For the bounce or for the resistance for Bitcoin?
Well, let's say resistance.
Well, I think there's a chance we go back up to 100K again. Really, we have to test that level. We have to confirm it as support, and then we can consider more upside. But for
Right.
now, I mean, over the past, I guess, 2 months or so, Bitcoin has been playing around with that 100K level. It held it a couple times, but it couldn't hold it ultimately. So it's
Right.
going to be another test, I think, coming. And once we break that level, turn it back into support on a higher time frame, what I would really like to see is a monthly close above the 100K level, then we can consider that's a strong enough move for more upside continuation.
Oh, yeah. Exciting times ahead. All right. And last but not least, we got a gem for the Theta community because we are currently at a really sweet spot for accumulation. Let's check this one out.
Yeah, theta on the 1 day. So we've come all the way back down to this accumulation range. We had a pretty solid move. I think we were looking for a setup. I think there was a falling wedge. Let's see if I can draw that in here really quick. So this was one of our setups that we posted in the group. So it was for a breakout of the falling wedge, and this was a very decent move to this resistance up here. If we measure that move, that was 161% for theta. So if we get this accumulation range popping up again, you're going to want to buy into this a little bit at a time. I usually don't go too big right at the beginning, right? So if we start to go sideways a little bit, maybe you get a couple pokes below the support for a bit and then come back up to hold it as support again, then I would consider adding to my position a little more aggressively over time. But as it stands right now, yeah, it looks like it's a strong accumulation range, really strong support. I like to see these wicks on the bottoms of the candles so far. So yeah, right now theta's looking fine for an accumulation entry, at least to start scaling into it.
Yeah, and it looks like the $1 mark, we can go off that then, is incredibly strong support. I did give my price prediction for long-term this cycle anywhere from $25 to $50 if things get really, really heated, and theta's building some incredible things long-term. So even despite the incredible trading conditions that we could have just in this range, the bull market target alone is phenomenal. So this is a great accumulation range, both for long-term investors and also for a shorter swing trade.
I think there's a chance we could be building a bigger picture here, or a bigger pattern here on the bigger picture. So if this turns into a double bottom, you could actually start measuring this move as a more conservative target, and even a conservative target, that's almost a 500% move for theta.
Wow, yeah, that's a phenomenal range right there. This is looking like a really good setup. All you theta community, I know you've been in this for a very long time, and you will be rewarded. They're building incredible things apart from having a very bullish setup forming here. So yeah, it's looking really good. We'll be back on the next video to be able to update you on what's been happening with that trade. And the link is in the description below. If you do anything this bull run, it's invest in yourself, invest in your education, invest in these tools that are going to help you have incredible success, and just fast track it, right? Because you'll learn how to trade. You'll see the best setups that are being posted 24/7. Trip is in the group with all the lead analysts looking at these charts all the time. And there's nothing better than being able to have that toolkit to be able to have success in these markets. So the link is in the description below. Do sign up for that. And other than that, Trip, it's been phenomenal having a look at this. It got me really excited for what's coming this bull market. So yeah, we plan on doing updates more often, potentially some lives here and there. Let us know in the comments if you want that, what you want us to cover. We can do also short-term videos on just specific coins as well. So we'll be doing more and more updates just because the conditions are so good. We want you guys to be able to capitalize on that, whether you're thinking about becoming a member or you are a member. We're going to give you insane value here. So that's the plan. And I'm really excited for you to come on the next show, Trip, and see where we're at.
Yeah, very much so. I'm excited. I think today is going to be a pivotal point for Bitcoin. So after this, we'll see which direction we're really headed. But I'm pretty bullish right now, only because of those oversold conditions. I think we're at the bottom.
Right. I love it. I would agree. All the indicators show that, price wise, time wise, we're either there or we're close. So you heard it here first. You got that incredible chart that I haven't seen anywhere else. So Trip, thank you so much for sharing those gems with us on this channel. And we'll hopefully see you in the next couple of days.
Sounds great. Thank you, Megan.